the prices, and then you are given the number of units, and this in terms of the amount. So you need to be careful. This is not quantity, but this is the amount. So how do you, if you have the price and you have the amount, how do you get the quantity? So it's the amount divided by the respective price for the base period and then for the current period. So that is what you are supposed to do. Today, I wish us to start off with the second last topic, and this is statistics. And as we do this, I want to announce that I've talked to your teacher for KUC 1230, that is Dr. Muhongo, and he has told me you have completed. So I'll be planning that next week on Monday, we can meet so that we cover up and also finish this course in the next 2 weeks. So I've asked him and he has given me go ahead. So we'll be meeting on Monday. So Monday, we will meet from our usual time, 7:30. I hope that is clear. We'll meet on Monday, 7:30 in the morning, so that we proceed to see what we can do. So if we look at this concept of statistics, these are very wide concepts. These are concepts that is applied in our day-to-day life because it is a scientific concept that we use. Why statistics? Because we are looking at this concept as to involve methods. How do we collect data? How do we organize? How do we analyze? How do we present? How do we interpret? And all these, as I said, are for purposes of decision making. Every now and then, we are posed with challenges. These challenges can be solved if we collect the requisite data, if we organize, we analyze, we present, and interpret. And after interpreting, then we draw conclusions that help us to take decisions. That is what statistics is all about. And in your various degree programs, you'll be looking at statistics in detail. This is more of a concept that is used by every field. But how do we categorize? Because we are talking about data. Data is only but information. So data may be in form of either primary, secondary, or it can either be qualitative or quantitative. When you talk of primary data, this is what we are collecting at first hand. If I asked you, how old are you? Then you tell me, I am 19, I am 20, and I record it the way it is. Then that is raw data. Secondary data is what we get from second source, already documented, like information from books, journals, what we get from internet. We are not the first-hand people. That is referred to as secondary. Now, when you talk of qualitative, something qualitative is something that is not numerical. Look at the skin complexion. Look at your mood. Look at your gender. Things that we are not numerical. On the contrary, what is quantitative is what is numerical. We can attach value. We can attach a number. Say, how old are you? How many are you from your household? How many marks did you score? How many times have you attended the lecture? That is what is quantitative. Quantitative means we can attach value. It is numerical. Qualitative is not numerical. Primary is what we collect ourselves. Secondary is what we get from other sources like books and what have you. But that quantitative data that is numerical can further be classified as either being discrete or continuous. Something discrete is what takes on a single value, a whole number. Like, how many are you in the household? You'll say we are 3. How many vehicles are parked at the university car park? How many people visited the university clinic? That is numerical. How many MPs do we have? That is numerical. You are going to have elections. How many votes did so candidate A get? You see, you are giving with a whole number. There is no fraction. But that which comes with fractions or decimals, that is what we call continuous. Say your height. What is your height? I'm 5 inches and 2 feet. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are sorry that we have internet drips, and we are planning. We hope that it will stabilize so that we proceed uninterrupted. But if it does, then we shall always reconnect and move together. So, as we have said, statistics deals with methods of collecting, methods of organizing, methods of analyzing, methods of presenting, and methods of interpreting data for purposes of decision making. So with this need for us to understand, how do we collect data? We collect data by use of questionnaires. Questionnaire is a set of questions that are given to the respondent so that the respondent responds in light of his or her opinion. These questions can be closed, meaning they have options to choose, or can be open, which give an opportunity to the respondent to feel what he or she feels. So mainly, questionnaires are what is commonly used to collect data. But over and above that, we have interviews. Interviews is where you interact, the interviewer and the interviewee. You also use questions, yes. But you pose those questions, then you let the interviewee to respond. So in most cases, these give opinions, this gives perceptions, and the like. That one can be able to ask supplementary question to seek for clarification when there are interviews, unlike in the questionnaires, where it is closed. But we can also just decide to see, observe, so that we focus on the key characteristic of interest. You want to know how or what is the true character of Duncan Wasikewekesa. My true character can be seen when you observe how I behave, how I do my things, how I talk, how I dress. Many times you say my dress, my choice, but how you dress gives an impression of who you are. You dress half naked, it gives a description of what you are. You dress in baggies, it gives an impression of what you are. You leave your hair unkempt, it gives an impression of what you are. It describes you. And these are things that we can observe. When we observe, we are using the senses. We can smell, we can touch, we can... Those senses. That Observation, you follow Duncan Wasike. Look at him when he goes to church. How is he? Look at him when he's at a social place in a bar. How is he? Look at him when he's in class, like the way we are. How do I talk? Come to the office. How do I serve you? Meet me on the road or elsewhere. How am I? How do I behave? And it's on the basis of what you can see that you can now conclude about Duncan Wasike. This is what we are talking about. Then the current way is by way of photographing or doing videos. That we also collect information by just taking snapshots, by just taking videos of certain specific scenes, which are of our interest. What is our focus? That is what we are talking about. That now you are posting pictures of your colleagues who are contesting. Some of them have never been in suits, but now you are posting them. People are smartly dressed. People are now talking nicely. People are presenting themselves neatly. We can portray that through photographs and through videos. So those are the methods that we use to collect data. Now, as we look at this, ladies and gentlemen, there's need for us to understand that for us to collect this information, we are collecting this information from subjects. And these subjects are not just ordinary subjects. We must understand what is the basis, what is the focus of the information we want to collect. I want to collect information about university students. So university students are forming the population. That is the group with which I'm focusing on. So from that group, I want to target certain group among the university students. We call that the target population. I may not want to look at all students at the university, but I want to look at first years. So I'm targeting first years. So target population is what you are zeroing into access to study. Now, from that target, remember we're talking of the population has to be university students. But from these university students, we are focusing on to first years. So the first years become our target. Then I cannot visit all first year students in the universities. I would choose those that I would wish to reach. So I want to choose those that are in the universities of the Western region, Arupe, Must, and perhaps Kaimosi, then Kibabi. So those become my accessible. So I can access those ones. Now, from those that I am able to reach, I now select those that they have to respond. So those that have to respond are the ones that are forming my sample population. Perhaps I'm not choosing from all universities in Western. I'm choosing those of Must and those of Kibabi. If I'm looking at all universities. Or I look at the new universities, Alupe and Kaimosi. So that becomes my sample. Those that I've chosen to use. Then from those Alupe or from Kibabi, I now select. I cannot deal with the whole 2,000 plus, but I can now select that I'm going to deal with 100. So those 100 are now what becomes my unit. The actual respondents that I'll interview, that I'll observe, that I'll give the questionnaire, that I'll take photos, that I'll take videos. So when you talk of a unit, that is the exact that you are going to interact with. A sample is what you are able to choose the unit from. Then the sample comes from what you can access. And what you can access comes from what you have targeted. And what you have targeted comes from the bigger, the totality of the population. That's now the population. So this is what we are saying. So as we collect the data, we have said that there are those 4 methods: questionnaires, interviews, observations, and then the use of photography that has brought in technologies. But as we choose, we are choosing from a population, which is the target group, then from which we we can have the accessible, we choose the sample, and now the real unit that we're going to use. So as we do this, what we collect and what we report as in true form from those units is what we call raw data. So raw data is that data that has not been organized in any way. That which we have got, the way I said, how old are you? Then you tell me you are 19, another one 21, another one 16. I recorded the way it has occurred from the units. That is raw data. Now from there, we can now move and see how do we organize data. We organize data by way of tabulation. And when we tabulate data, we don't just do it for the sake of doing, but we do it for certain reasons. One, for comparison purposes. We want to compare those in MUST and those in Kibabi. We want to compare those in public and those in private. We want to compare between gender, the male and the female. We tabulate so that the required data can easily be located. We want to focus on certain information that we are gathering so that we summarize. So as we do this, we are able to locate the required data. We are able to avoid unnecessary details, and we are able to summarize. And when we summarize, then we are looking at using less space. So data that has been collected as it occurs, we have said that is raw data. So we tabulate that data for comparison to locate the required data easily, to avoid unnecessary details, and to summarize. So how do we tabulate? The simplest way to organize data is to put it in what we call an array. A-R-R-A-Y, an array. An array is just an arrangement of data in either ascending or descending order of magnitude. Ascending meaning we start with the least or the smallest to the biggest. Descending is the vice versa. We start from the biggest to the least. So we are looking at this and we wish to organize. Take, for example, the age. One is 19, 21, then 16. So if we arrange in ascending, we start with the 16, then 19, then 21. If it is descending, we start with the highest. That's 21, 19, then 16. That is how we organize data in the most simplest way that gives us an array. So for us to see, we may collect information, and that information we collect, we may want to use it so that we see how do we tabulate. This is just simple tabulation of data. Look at this example. That we are looking at a case of employees in a given firm that were 90 in the year 2021. Out of these 90, 79 were men. So already we are being told of men. So the difference should be for women. In the course of the year, there are those who left the service. And of those who left, 13 of them were men. So meaning the difference, 4 were women. So the recruitment in the year was 13. The new recruitment, of whom 3 were women, which means 10 of the recruited were men. In 2022, wastage declined. Wastage meaning those who left. It reduced by 3 among men. So if it reduced by 3 among men, how many left in the previous year? We are told 17 staff left, of whom 13 were men. So if it reduces by 3, so it means in 2022, 10 men left. No woman left. So we are aware that 4 women left in 2021. So in 2022, we have 0 women leaving. Then we are told 6 more men, but 1 fewer women were recruited. How many did we recruit in the previous year? 13, of whom 3 were women. So we recruited 10 men and 3 women. So if 6 more were recruited, so it means we are recruiting 16. 1 fewer, we recruited 3. So it means we are recruiting 2 than the previous year. So we can find out now at the end of 2022, what will be our staff. levels. So we can tabulate this data. And for us to tabulate this data, we must understand what are the key characteristics, what are the key things that stand out. What is standing out is, number one, at the start of the year, how many staff are there in terms of gender, because gender is key. The years, the time period, 2021, 2022. Then those who left is key. Those who are recruited is key. So we have those things. We have the period, we have gender, we have those who left, those who are there at the start, those who are recruited. So this is the information that we must portray in our table, so that it gives us a true summary to help us have what we talked of, identify what we readily require to summarize this data. So we can look at this and tabulate it as follows. Because we are looking at employees in a farm, so it's employees in a farm in the time period 2021, 2022. And we are looking at this in terms of men and women for 2021 and 2022. Then we have those at the start, those that we recruited, those that left, and now at the end. So we are looking at this, ladies and gentlemen. I think this was an error. This is not 776, but this should be 76. Yes. So from the information, we are told in 2021, there were 90. The total was 90. 79 were men. So the difference is women. They recruited 13, of whom 3 were women. So it means 10 were men. 17 staff left. That's why I'm putting in the bracket to say they are leaving. So we must subtract. Of whom 13 were men. So it means the women were 4. So at the end of the year, how many men are there? 79 plus 10 minus 13. That should give us 76. How many women? 11 plus 3 plus 4 minus 4. That gives us 10. So in the total, whether I add 76 plus 10, it gives me 86. Whether I take 90 plus 13 minus 17, it should give me 86. So this, at the end of 2021, are the ones that are there at 1st January 2022. Please note that. So, in January 2022, I have 76 men. I have 10 women, a total of 86, which is my banner totals from 2021. So we are told that 6 more men were recruited. We recruited 10. 6 more gives us 16. 2 fewer women were recruited. So we recruited 3. 2 fewer gives us 1. So it means the recruitment in 2022 was 17. Now, for those who left, we are told 10 men left and no woman left. There's 6 more men left. So we had 4 plus 6 gives you 10. No woman left. So that gives us 0. So the total number of those who left this farm were 10. So if you work out, at the end of 2022, the men are 82, the women are 11, and the total, therefore, will give us 93. Whether you get 86 plus 17 minus 10, that gives you 93. Whether you get 82 plus 11, that gives you 93. So that is what it is. That is what we are saying. So this is an example, a way of how we can and how we can organize this data. So that is how we tabulate. Look at this example and try it out about an examination in an institution like ours. See how you can identify the key variables that are being talked about. See how to compute. Then we'll look at it. Can you do that? In 2 minutes, tabulate.
Mmetoa swali?
The question is, present the data in the tabular form. Tabulate that data. That's the question, tabulate. Or present the data in the tabular form. Are we through? So what is coming out? This is an examination report on the performance of students. So we are told that there are 3,500 male candidates below 20 years of age. And of these, 500 passed. So we know 3,000 failed. Of the 1,100 male candidates, 20 years and over, 900 failed. So it means 200 passed. So something that's coming out is we are looking at it in terms of 1, male and female, 2, age. Those that are up to 20 years of age and those that are 20 years and over. So we have those below 20 years and those that are 20 and above. We have those in terms of male and female. We have those who have passed and those who have failed. So those are the things that we need to reflect. So our table must show age below 20 and 20 and above. It must show male and female. It must show those who have passed and those who have failed. Those are the things that we can use from this table to summarize. So if you've done it that, then you can look at it in terms of maybe what I thought. Look at the student performance. So we are looking at it in terms of those below 20 years and those that are 20 years and above. So below 20 years, we have men and women. We have those who failed, those who passed, and the total. So below 20 years, 500 passed, 3,000 failed, total is 3,500. The women are 100 passed, 400 failed, we have a total of 500. For 20 years and above, Male are 200 passed, 900 failed. Total 1,100. The women are 80 passed, 260 failed, total 340. The total population there for the total candidature for this is those who passed were 880, those who failed were 4,560, and this gives us a total student performance population of 5,440. 5,440. So this is how we can do the tabulation. This is how we should be able to tabulate. So we can use this in terms of tabulating data. Now, we want to look at how do we now tabulate this data in a different form, a form that we are calling frequency distribution. That instead of just giving the tabulation as given, we can be able to present in what we call a frequency distribution table. Now, what is this that we are saying is a frequency distribution table? This is actually a table that gives us how the total frequency is distributed among the various values of a variable. We are talking of 3,000 students. How are they distributed maybe in terms of their age? So how do we do this? We do this by grouping values of the variable into intervals, especially when the population is large. So for large data, it is difficult for us to construct the discrete frequency distribution. Recall how we defined discrete, those whole numbers. But then we now create those intervals to have continuous data. Now, frequency distributions, where data is distributed into categories or classes, is what we are referring to as the frequency distribution table. And you see, the number of observations falling into each of those classes is counted, and that's what we call class frequency. This is what we are talking about. So as we do this, there's need for us to look at this more keenly and look at it more categorically. So if you look at this set of data, say, for example, you have 102, 105, 108, 201, 96, 99, 204. The easiest way is to arrange it in a given order, and we talked of either ascending or descending order of magnitude. So you can arrange this in ascending, you can arrange this in descending. So that would give you a discrete frequency distribution table. Like if we arrange this in ascending, then we shall start with 96, 102, 105, this 96, 99, 102, 105, 108, 201, and then 204, from the least to the highest. If it is the descending order, then the highest is 204, then 201, then 108, then 105, 102, 99, and finally 96. That is a discrete frequency distribution. But suppose we are dealing with large sets of data, 3,000. We may not list, it becomes cumbersome. That's why there is that reason for tabulation. So if that's the case, we must tabulate. How do we now create that tabulation? We put this into class intervals. So classes, groups, we are grouping them together. How do we group is what is important. And I want you to pay more attention to how the principles that guide the grouping. How do we group? Number one, determine the range. What is the range? The difference between the least and the highest observation. Then we determine the number of classes, K. So what we want to do is that we want to determine the classes, K. First, the range, the difference between the highest and the smallest. Then determine the number of classes that we want to use. And normally these are between 5, and 20. Then determine what we call the class size. We are going to explain what that is. Class size is R over K. The range divided by the number of classes that we have chosen. Then we determine the lower class boundary or limit. We are going to explain what that is, such that it includes the least observation. It includes the least observation. Then those others are generated by just adding the class size that we have obtained in 3. Then finally, we tally the observations that are falling into each class to obtain the frequency distribution. Now, if that's the case, you can look at this example. Look at this example. The following marks were obtained by students in an exam. Kindly write them down because we are going to use this as an example. Have this because we are going to use it as our example in our class today. Hapo unaiona?
Andika.
Niko copy. Unaweza alafu na unafanya ni hello
itakuwa tunaweza jitaka niandike ingine hapa chini.
alafu unanisend
Nimetaka hizi video za
So let us see how do we generate this frequency distribution table.
tumefanya andiko kwa ubao.
Kwa sawa?
yes.
Kwa sawa. Nenda niingie.
Tumemaliza.
Uski?
Nimemaliza.
Maliza si utufunze.
Nimemaliza, subiri kidogo, nataka tuende next step.
Tumesubiri.
So if you look at that data that we have given you, the highest mark is 75. The least mark, if you check keenly, is this was 74, I think.
74.
Is 75 then 25? The highest imekuwa ngapi?
74.
Should be around 74. It's 74.
74.
The least is
Yes.
25. Therefore, our range is 74 minus 25, and this gives you 49. So that's what we look through the data. What is the highest? 74. What is the lowest? 25. What's the difference? 49. That is our range. Next, we have to select the number of classes. This is K. And we said K is between 5 and 20. Suppose we chose the list 5. We want to work with the list. That's our step 2. Then we now determine the class size. Let us denote this by I. I is the class size. So this is the quotient R over K. So this gives you 49 all over 5, and this will be equal to 9.8. We can approximate this to use the whole number as 10. 49 divided by 5, that gives you 9.8. That's where those figures are coming from. Now, how do we proceed in step 4? In step 4, we said select the number, the lowest boundary or limit. So if we look through, the lowest is 25. So we want to choose a number that will include this value. So what are we talking about? We are talking about marks. Then we want to generate this table so that we say how many students, number of students. So we select the lower limit or boundary so as it includes the least observation. So suppose we began by 25 itself. Our class size is 10. So we have to move 10 units from 25 to. Many of you will give 35, which is wrong. So we are counting 25 units, 10 units from 25. So by simple arithmetic, just count 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, and then 34. So this will take you from 25 to 34. That is our first class interval. That is inclusive of the least observation 25 and has a class size of 10. So if we do this, we shall have 5 intervals. Now, how do we proceed to get these others? The other class boundaries or limit are obtained by adding the class size. That's what we wrote in the procedure. So we add the class size. 25 plus 10, that gives you 35, 2. 34 plus 10, 44. So we generate these others until we capture the highest observation, that is 74. So we shall continue until we get 74 captured. So this will be 45 to 54, 55 to 64, 65 to 74. So 74 is now captured. If you count this, there should be 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is what it is. So we follow this procedure. We have now generated the frequency distribution for continuous data. So let us now go back to the data and count how many many fall between 25 and 34? Then we complete. How many fall between 35 and 44? Then complete. How many fall between 45 and 54? Then complete. Once that is completed, then what we have generated is what we call a grouped or otherwise a continuous frequency distribution table. Let us now complete for the number of students from that exercise. Let's take 2 minutes to do that. Then you can share your frequencies that you have gotten here. You can say there are 2, 4, maybe 8, 6, 3, like that. Can you share in this format from the first interval to the last in the screen chart? Prepare your data, yeah. So here is the data. Kindly proceed to generate the table as we have seen in on the board. Please hurry. We shall move through step by step because I know some of us are not comfortable with the numbers. Thank you, EDS 0161/24. You are in. We thank you for the compliment. There's a question from Nedi. What if you say 34 to 43? Look at the first one. The first one. The first one gives us 25 to 34. So already 34 is taken care of. We shall look at when the class boundaries and the class limits coincide. Your question is good, Nedi. We shall look at that. Hiyo ni number of classes. Hiyo 5 wamepata aje. 5 you select, you choose. The way you are being told, your number of classes, and somebody has told you, you choose. So people are giving results. 216,886, 216,885. Confirm that those numbers you have given add up to the total that is given, 40. 216,886, 216,886. That's what most people are getting. 216,895. Akabita, Asito, kindly check. 216,886, 216,7. Freezer Simiyu, check. Yours is different. That 7 check should be 6 or 8. Mike, that's a fair work. So you are getting it right. So let us proceed.
We can turn to that. 8:30, wacha niwapeni. Unaweza rudi huko.
So from what you're giving, I think I'm back. So the table is 216,886. Now proceed to look at this example 2. Proceed to look at this example 2. The age and death of people in a certain village was recorded as follows. Generate a grouped frequency distribution of class size 5. So you have already been given the class size. So what you need to do is to identify what the least value is. And if you check through, the least value in this is 30 what? 34. 34. So I want us to be uniform. I want us to be uniform in what we are going to get. So can we be able to start with 30? So let the first interval start with 32. With 5 is 30, 31, 32, 33, and 34. So it should be 30 to 34 for all of us. We want to get a uniform data. Start with a class interval of 30 to 34. Then generate the frequency table. Please let us move fast so that we can do something else before we close. Start with 30 and generate the table. Tuko class. Class 1. Kawaida yetu tumewapea kazi. Naona tumetoka kwa ubao, tumewapea kazi. Feel free to share on the screen what you get as your table. Ruth, you are asking, how did you find 5 for K? We have chosen that. And if it's by example 1, it was through calculation, R over K. I is 10 and not 5. Don't confuse people. Please pay a lot of attention. I see some of you causing confusion in the chat box. I am explaining things. Please concentrate. And if you will continue doing what you've been doing during the other type of lectures, you will get confused and you will blame yourself. Pay keen attention. Wachana na mambo ya muziki kwa room na chai, wachana maneno ya watoto, wachana maneno ya vitu vingine. Concentrate. All that which you're asking, I have explained. Why it is 10 and how we got 5. I've explained all those things. So can you proceed to also complete the frequency? The number of people, please proceed. We can, but we cannot manage to start measures of sababu that's the next. Je, tumemaliza table sasa. Generate hiyo now, we now start analysis. Yes. Mean, mode, and median. That's where we want to start. Hiyo tukimaliza tunaenda standard deviation, statistics na kuisha. Tunakuja ya mwisho matrix algebra. Matrix algebra unaweza ifunza mara mbili. Pia tumalize hii tutaifunza mara mbili. Ingekuwa tunaenda mpaka 10. Tungemaliza hiyo analysis. Itaona man nani hawapei cuts at different time nifunze hiyo moja. Namwambia hawapei kitu. So that I teach in the morning up to around 9:30 or 10. Because Monday is sinanga kitu. Pay 5. Right. Sasa hiyo ndio tu pay flat. Lakini kama tumemaliza statistics ni unapea cut. So them cut 2. Guilty elections. I don't know how to keep them busy. Yes. I see some of you have done it well. Nasikia kuna kati inapangwa mahali. I announced cut 2 when it will be done. Wilson, kama hukusikia shauri yako, and I not repeat myself. Acha najifanya amesikia na tumekuwa tunaongea na microphone zote. Wanafunzi pia. So if you have done it correctly, check with these results. Check with the solution. The frequencies are 1, 4, 3, 9, 10, 8, 4, 3. You can clap for yourself if you got it right. Exercise as we wind up. There are 2 questions there. The height in centimeters of students. Prepare a group frequency distribution table for this data using class size of 5, starting with 142 to 146. Then we have the following marks obtained from a test. Construct a frequency distribution table starting with 0 to 9. Hello? Hello? I think that you can work on that at your own free time. So next time we want to start analysis so that we look at measures of central tendency and then also look at measures of dispersion. Measures of central tendency and measures of dispersion. That will conclude our discussion on statistics. Then we look at matrix algebra next week. For clarity purposes, I repeat what I announced. 1, our Cat 2 shall be done next week on Thursday from 5 p.m. in the evening. Cat 2 shall be done next week on Thursday, 5 p.m. in the evening. It will be an online cut. As usual, I'll not entertain any excuse. Please prepare and do the cut online. Next week on Thursday, 5 p.m. Announcement number 2. I have asked Dr. Muhongo to give me his hours because he told me that you are through. Therefore, we are meeting on Monday at 7:30 for this course. Monday, 7:30 in the morning, we are meeting for KUC 1250. Get that correctly? He is going to reschedule the cut. You will do it on Monday, maybe in the evening. That is what I can say. Finally, can you consult? You are not coming to consult. Please consult or use your groups well. Use your hours well for discussions. Where you have doubt or difficulties, kindly come forward to the office ABB 214. We shall discuss. Thank you so much. Let us adjourn until Monday at 7:30. We shall start on the dot on Monday. Unless there is a question, I have not seen anything on the chat box that requires my response. So cut in the election week, yes. Cut is after class, yes. Cut cannot be physical. Sitting goja exam, yes. How was muna type sana, that's not our business. So we've not taken the screenshot, please. It is there. I can take it back. There it is for the exercise. Well explained, thank you. Where is it? Gani Monday Z. I'll teach on Monday. You can come or you can keep off. I don't entertain nonsense. Brighton. Office, I've said ABB 214. ABB 214. Prof. Rihanda, umeanza kupenda hesabu, karibu sana. I wish it was physical, you would have liked it more. Notes I've been sending and they will continue sending. You need physical cut. I'll not give physical cut to 2,300 students. I have no manpower to administer. Regards, thank you. Are the notes I've said about that? Here online in Asumbua, prepare enough. Have a good day, Benedict. Good day too. Thank you, sir. I appreciate. You have enjoyed. My pleasure to make you enjoy the lesson. Thanks and thanks due. God bless you. Asanteni sana. The class stands adjourned until Monday.